Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Is it lacking something awesome? Well, head out to your local liquor store and pick up something extraordinary. Grab a bottle of Old Humble Straight Whiskey or Old Humble Special Reserve. They're clean, smooth, easy drinking whiskeys that taste the way whiskey should taste. From humble beginnings to an extraordinary finish, Old Humble whiskeys are what your bar needs today. Walk tall, be awesome, and drink humble. Old Humble Straight Whiskey and Old Humble Special Reserve. Get yours today.
My mic is on. Wendy, would you like to say hi real fast?
Hi, hello, how you doing?
That is a good level, and now we are going to fade in. Get all the wiggles out and get ready to go. All right, we're set? We're set. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, welcome to the Old Humble Distilling Company Quarantine Happy Hour with my distinguished guest here to my stage right, Wendy Bonbons. Say hi to everybody, Wendy.
Hi, how you doing?
You scare me every time I say to say hi and you don't. You just wave. It makes me think your audio's off or something.
I'm sorry. I'm just a very handsy person.
I love it. This is awesome. This is gonna be a wonderful evening of terror. Um, this is the 69th running of the Old Humble Distilling Company's quarantine happy hour. Nice. There, I said it for you, internets. My cocktail for the evening is a special reserve whiskey. What do you have going on over there? What you drinking, madam?
I have a strawberry lemonade, which I think you referred to as a mostly water.
Mostly water, yes. Drinking mostly water, and I'm drinking. Well, actually, I'm drinking mostly water too. It's our whiskey. Cheers to you, madam.
Cheers.
And you are joining us from north of the border in the Great White North. Well, I guess it's not quite the Great White North over on that side of Canada, is it? Or does it count as the Great White
No,
North?
more like the foggy and drizzly side of Canada happening over
I
here.
got you. The Great Western
Yeah.
Scotland, uh, I guess.
Something like that. Something.
Something like that. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us on the show. I appreciate it. I want to remind everybody watching, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You find us over on the Twitch. You can find us over on the Twitter. Find us on the Facebooks. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, all that stuff. Um, Wendy, uh, tell us all the stuff that you do. Like you are a multi-talented artist and performer. Uh, and
Yes, I
that is
am.
not even scratching the surface of the wonderfulness that is Wendy Bonbon sitting here to my left. No, my left. There it is.
Thank you. No, I dabble in quite a few things. I guess I'm just one of those people that I can't stay focused on one thing, so I like to do a lot. I'm mostly, primarily, I'm a burlesque performer. Through that, I've been able to branch into like many different mediums, which is a really fun thing about burlesque. It's gotten really versatile with the many different forms it can take, and I've kind of ventured into, I guess, the different realms of food play and wham, which is wet and messy performances, and sloshing, which is a whole different world on its own. But I don't know how that brought me into this wonderful world of quarantine online performing and hosting, but I've started to do that and produce my own show
Hmm.
online on Instagram, which has been really a really great learning opportunity.
And that's where
So
I found you.
yeah,
In
yay.
the online show on the Instagrams. And you kick it off with a spoken. Well, it's not spoken word. You kick it off with like a book reading. Uh,
Yeah,
to kind of
yeah.
settle the nerves and get everybody into the like okay it reminded me, and this is what just endeared me to the show and why I saw this and I'm like I have to have her on my show. She has to be a guest. It felt very much like you were starting class. It was it was like the beginning of a Zoom session for one of my kids' classrooms, and the teacher sits down and says, "Okay, everybody, settle down. Let's turn off our microphones. Let's get ready to go. I'm going to start reading." And then you open the book and you go, and it's like this is awesome. Uh,
Oh, I love that.
and it's a great show too, and it can be found live on Instagram. Is it a night? It's not a nightly show on Instagram. It's a weekly show, but you do
No,
two or
it's
three
actually a
shows.
weekly show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do this one, the Cosmic Show I do weekly, which
Hmm.
is the variety show that we're chatting about, and I do that one on Sunday nights at 9:30 Eastern. Yeah, I do that for about an hour, and that's on my IGTV.
There you go. Very cool.
Hmm.
And by the way, find her on Instagram, Wendy dot Bonbon, Bonbon. It's French. The N is the French are so lazy with their vowel or with their consonants. I swear, it is the most frustrating language to speak and learn. The articles are all over the place. The consonants are just like they get to the end of the word and they're just like blah. They have other things to do rather than pronounce their N's and S's. They're just or and T's. They're just like blah,
Oh,
voulez-vous,
but it's so
blah.
beautiful once you get it, though.
Oh
Once
yeah,
you get it down, it's
I
so
could sit
beautiful.
there and listen to the French talk all day long, and it's beautiful and it's a wonderful, beautiful language. But it is so infuriating because there's all those letters and they just like nah, wave their hand over and like yeah we're not gonna say those letters. We're just gonna get on with the next thing. Come on,
I can understand your frustration for sure.
yeah, yeah. My and the most frustrating with the consonants that just kind of they just leave them off at the end, but also the articles. uh, I'm I'm not used to the male female articles and figuring out which one is the thes and the sums and if it's la banana or de banana, whatever. Anyway, that's what I've been doing during the apocalypse. Other than making whiskey, I've been trying to make French happen, come out of my face, but it's not happening. It's a struggle.
It's so good though that you're taking the time to learn. Everybody's learning something. You could be learning how to bake bread. You could be one of those people.
I
So.
I did bread. I did that for a couple of weeks.
Oh,
Uh,
you did.
Not even a couple of weeks. It was
I did
probably a
too.
couple of months where we went on the bread kick, and because we had some bread shortages here. I'm down here in Houston, in Texas. We had some bread shortages on the shelves for a month or so, mid March, mid April,
Okay.
and so I was able to find the flour and able to find the yeast. I have plenty of yeast. I mean, I run a distillery for crying out loud. Uh, but uh, uh, I could never make the bread as good as the bread we could buy. Uh, it smelled
Okay.
good and it tasted fine, but it was denser and it's a whole lot of work when you want toast in the morning. You need a time machine because you needed to think about that yesterday. And now that we can get bread, it's like screw this. I'm just going to buy bread. It's whatever, $3, $4. I'm buying bread. I can't spend 8 hours making food.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
To each
don't.
their own. Everybody has their
Yeah,
priorities.
I don't mind. I don't mind spending 6 months making whiskey, but I'm not going to spend 8 hours making bread. That's just not going to happen.
Oh my goodness. It takes that long to make whiskey?
At least. So we age our whiskey in small
I don't.
barrels, small 5 gallon barrels. I have one over here. I just looked over at it when I mentioned the 5 gallon barrel. Like, hi, baby. Um, but we do it in 5 gallon barrels. So in 5 gallon barrels, you can do it in 6 to 9 months. If you do an even smaller barrel, like a 1 gallon or a 2 gallon barrel, you can do it in like 6 weeks. But 1 gallon barrels don't make a lot of whiskey because it's only 1 gallon. It's like that big. So at that point, you're talking 5 bottles, 6 bottles, maybe, depending on the proof it is when it goes into the
Okay.
barrel. So if you have a $50 barrel and only 5 bottles, the bottles cost, themselves, you can only get $30 a bottle, $40 a bottle. Then now you're talking very expensive bottles of whiskey, and you have to have a lot of those little bitty barrels. Time balance of volume versus time, and how much rent you can afford to pay while you're waiting on this stuff to age. With the big giant barrels that they use, the 50-gallon barrels, that takes 5 to 7 years, and it's an equivalent flavor. So I'm willing to
Oh,
wait 6 to 9 months because I still have to pay rent. But eventually, I want to get to the 50-gallon barrels and go 5 to 7 years. Um, but enough about me. I can talk about me all day long. I want to know more about you. What you
I
weren't.
never realized so much love went into it. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm just
no,
fascinated. Okay,
no,
go
it is.
ahead.
But seriously, I could talk about this all day long because I love doing it and it's so much fun to do. Uh, it's. I fell in love with the whiskey and the whiskey industry when I was doing whiskey tastings. I went from wine tastings to whiskey tastings, and when I discovered that whiskey doesn't just taste like whiskey, there's not just one whiskey flavor. You can have the same grains express themselves different ways depending on where they were aged and how long they were aged and where the water comes from and all the stuff that goes into it. I totally fell in love with the industry, and then now I make whiskey. That's what I do for my grown up job, and that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to do this. And I just started doing it full
I love
time
that.
just before the apocalypse started. I had a full time job and doing the distillery for like 5 years, and then I've made this transition just in time for the apocalypse. So hey, go out and buy our whiskey. It's available at Specs all across the state of Texas. Um, and for my favorite burlesque artists in Canada, I might be able to arrange for a little box to show up at your place if you would like. You just send me a message and let me know, and I'll see what I can do.
I do love learning, and that would be a good learning opportunity.
Well, there you go. And learning is one of the things that you folks had to do when the apocalypse started because you lost all your stages, you lost all your performance venues, you literally lost your livelihood when they had to shut the doors and everybody had to stay home. You had to come up with how you can continue to perform your art at home, uh, and take your stage. We'll take your stage to the people because the people couldn't come to your stage. How do you make that transit? How long did it take you to make the transition, and how's that transition feel like it's going for you?
I was pretty lucky, and so I guess everything started to shut down. I was in Montreal in the beginning of when everything started to shut down, so around St. Patty's Day,
Hmm.
and I was working at Burlesque House, the Wiggle Room at the time, and when everything started to shut down, you kind of no one really anticipated it being shut down as long.
Yeah, two
Um,
weeks, three
so
weeks, right?
producers in other areas of Canada that I was yeah, producers in Newfoundland that I was working with were pretty quick to when everything was shutting down to like hop on an online show, and I was really lucky that way because then they still kept everything going.
Hmm.
But there were so many things that didn't keep going, so many continuous gigs that had gotten canceled for not just me as a performer who is coming in and finally getting bookings as like a newer performer, but for performers who have like long-standing positions at different venues. They regular the Thursday nights there. You can catch them, Mondays and Wednesdays. They all lost their positions and their opportunities to perform. So once people started to come together and realize that that wasn't going to be just like a temporary thing, like you said, is like 2 to 3 weeks,
Right.
and it was going to be much longer. People were pretty quick to rally on that, and I guess that's where I jumped on the bandwagon, and I did that in about April with my show.
Hmm.
So it wasn't too long that myself that I went without performing in sense of just general, but I haven't stepped onto a stage in quite a while.
Yeah. Do you find it tougher to do the online without an audience? Or is it more liberating because now you can just do whatever you want without, well, I mean, you have the limitations of your space around you, but you can do whatever you want for the most part without having the restrictions of the venue and the, which do you find better? Or because I know there's like comedians can't do it. I mean, you can't do a stand up act without an audience. You need that feedback. They've had to transition. My comedian friends have had to transition to doing something like this, a talk show type of thing, or podcast or performing with other people on podcasts and doing stuff like that. What's the sense for you? Is it more liberating without the audience, or is it tough to do it without the feedback?
Well, I think I like that you mentioned comedians because I also do stand up, and like I even ventured into the world of stand up since any of this. Like I'm not even dipping my toes into it. It's
Sure.
terrifying. But in terms of like all the other styles of performance that I do, especially with dance, I think it just falls into a different category because it's really fostering your own sense of community to follow you in these online shows.
Hmm.
Whereas not everybody has that starting out. There's a lot of regulars who would say go to the Wiggle Room, who would see the Wednesday night acts where I might be, or other performers might be regularly. Um, But now it's letting people know new venues that they can catch you at, which is on their cell phone, but they have to follow certain things and check in at certain times, or, check back to see a recorded video. But I do find that like it gives an opportunity for more people to be seen, in the sense that you're seeing performers that are in areas of the world that you wouldn't normally be seen, connecting with people that you normally wouldn't connect with, to like perform with. So that's been really, I guess, liberating that sense, because normally I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to say perform outside of Canada for the first time. And I performed online at a show that was produced out of South Africa, which is an opportunity like I would normally never have gotten unless I was taking a trip, booking, and then there's a whole other side that comes with booking in person for a show.
That is something else. I mean, of course, internet shows are all over the world anyway, but to be specifically produced out of and for this audience in a specific region. Have you ever performed in Texas?
No, I haven't. Honestly, I haven't traveled to the States much.
Welcome to Texas.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a beautiful opportunity. But yeah, like I said, it's an opportunity that I normally wouldn't get to have unless stuff like this happened, where you saw my online show and you were like, yeah, let's bring this person on.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is a cool. You bring in people, you do the performance part, and you bring in the folks, you talk about their stuff, and it's a great show. Y'all really ought to catch the show, is what I'm saying. Y'all really should.
Thank you.
On her Instagram, go find it, get the reminders and all this stuff. What do you do? What do you do off the like? What keeps you sane during the apocalypse? How shut down are you in your part of Canada, and what keeps you sane off the stage?
Well, I pretty quickly moved back from Montreal to Newfoundland, and Newfoundland is currently in a much better state than Montreal. I believe we only have 9 cases total in Newfoundland and Labrador, which is amazing considering the situation a lot of people are in, you know?
How many people live in Newfoundland?
So that, honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know right now.
Yeah.
I really wish I could give you that information, but I don't know right now. We'll have to Google it.
I'm going to guess between 40,000 and 40 million.
You know what? Before the end of this, I will find out.
Well, I'm going to ask Siri. Hey, Siri, how many people live in Newfoundland? We're going to find out real quick. See if Siri...
Okay, I found this on the web for how many people live in Newfoundland.
Siri is the worst.
Check it out.
I swear to God. Because I'm like, Siri, how many people live in... I've got a list of people living in Finland. That doesn't help me. God, Siri's the worst.
Try Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Fair.
Okay. Hey, Siri, how many people live in Newfoundland?
As of 2016, the population of Newfoundland was 479,538.
There you go. 479,538. And only 9 cases. That's solid. Because that is that's not even a percentage. That's not even a statistical percentage. That's like statistically zero. Not for those 9 people.
People are doing their part, keep them safe.
Yeah, not for those 9 people. It's clearly not zero, but statistically over the
their
population.
Family members, but
yeah, that is what's known as controlled. A term and a function that our government doesn't understand, unfortunately. But by the time this airs, that's lucky. Yesterday's news. So yeah.
That's true, but we both learned something tonight. It was good.
Yeah,
it was good. But things aren't nearly as bad here.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty happy. But again, there's still not the opportunity to go out and perform in the same sense, because that's how we're keeping our numbers at 9 or non-existent.
Right.
Hopefully.
Do they? What kind of information?
By not having those spaces open.
What kind of information are y'all getting as far as the path to normal in Canada? And is it community driven? Is it province driven? Or is it like this is the path to normal? We're trying to get there by, I don't know, April, February. I mean, when do y'all come back outside? When do y'all come out of your igloos and go back outside and into the sun?
Oh man, I think I ride out of my polar bear and my igloo like maybe in a few weeks. No, we're like in Newfoundland and Labrador, we're very fortunate because we're in the Atlantic bubble. We're over also with Prince Edward Island and New
Sure.
Brunswick. So you
Right.
can
Y'all
travel
all live on
freely in
fishing
between.
boats at the wharf. Y'all all live on the pier, and y'all are all
Yeah,
fishing. And yeah, you go out and hunt whale and do all the stuff over there. You're
yeah,
not like the
that's
Eskimos over in Saskatchewan.
I'm not very familiar, honestly, with what people do in Saskatchewan. I've never been.
Me
But
neither. If you hadn't guessed.
but we're really fortunate in that sense where like we can travel around in our Atlantic bubble, and we don't really have to worry too much in that regard. And I believe that there is, besides that, it's going province by province. So for example, Montreal's in Quebec, Montreal's completely shut down right now. And they said for the next month, they're going to be completely shut down.
Makes sense.
I think they're looking at like delaying schools because of that, if I'm not mistaken. But schools are currently open here in Newfoundland and Labrador, so it's a little bit different, not for universities, but for like students in like junior high and high school, they can still go to school. So I think it's a little bit of a different path in that regard. In terms of when it will be able to like get on into a regular path performance wise, it seems like some places are making accommodations. You know, there's shows happening, but there's caps. It's pre-assigned seating. You have to buy your tickets in advance so you can make sure that all your information is filled out, that you've checked all your I's and crossed your T's and stuff.
Sure.
But I don't really know and when everything's going to get back to a more normal sense. I think that really depends on Canada as a whole, and that's where it comes into play, like for the overall, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I don't want to
that
lead
makes
you
sense.
astray on your info.
I mean, you just kind of roll with it, and when the stages open up, you go out, back out, and get on the stages and do what you can in the meantime. I mean, that makes sense. That's kind of how we are down here too. Is just we're trying. There was a period where we just wanted to say everything's back to normal, and we just went back to normal, but everything was definitely not back to normal. And then when school started, everybody was saying, we need the kids to go back to school and everything to be normal. And then the rational ones among us were saying, that's what y'all should have been thinking about in July, because things are definitely not back to normal, and you can't just send your kids back to the Petri dishes. But I'm hoping that in our cases, we're going to get through those. It's getting worse in this winter, but hopefully we'll get through the winter and then kind of get things back under control in the spring, and hopefully by March or April. But we'll see. Yeah, because I've got a tasting room I need to open, and I need performers to come and see us, and people to come and see the performers. And if we can't have people in the tasting room, then I've got to figure out how to take the tasting room to the people, which is going to be that's what this camera can do for me, and this. I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I'm not a performer, but I want to get my performers to be able to safely come, and can't have comics probably, because if you only have 4 or 5 people in the room, comedy's tough.
No, it's true, but even if you're not a performer, it's still you're a vital part of the community by having those spaces and creating those spaces for performers.
Yeah.
So I very much so I can imagine you still feel the pain, and even much more so. Because it's a space, it's a physical space. It's not it's a great thing to have a show, and I know how fortunate it is to have that opportunity, but I definitely know the pain of not having the main thing that you love.
Yeah. But the thing that I miss most, and this is weird, the thing that I miss most is not necessarily the band playing at the bar or the club or the performance. It's the people hanging out, listening to the band at the show, and being able to hang out with them in between songs and in between sets, and having your drinks and telling the stories and doing. I met so many random people. A handful of them have been on the show, just doing that, and that's if you ask me to come see the band, I may go like, yeah, maybe. Who's going to be there? Who else is coming to see the band? Because if I've never heard of the band, I may come check it out. I'm not one of the I'm not an indie music small. Not really much of a music junkie like I used to be. I mean, I'll listen to a bunch of weird stuff. From home. It's comfortable here. I like listening and doing weird things here.
What would be weird for you? I'm curious what weird stuff you got to suggest here.
I mean, the
Give me something to look up.
Okay. Just recently, I can't remember the guy's name. The Night Sweats. What's his name in the Night Sweats? That guy. I'm gonna look up. I'm looking him up right now.
Yes, I love it. Good.
What is his
So
name? Where is
excited.
he at? Where are you? And the Night Sweats.
I love
The
hearing
Night
the weird stuff.
Sweats. It's a great little band. Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats. That is one
Okay.
of my dirty little. Uh, it's not even a dirty little secret. It's not even a guilty pleasure. They're good. Daniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats, and they're not weird. They're just not even a folksy type of band. Uh, they're a type of they're. How do you describe these guys? They are I guess it would count as American folk. Here locally, we do
Okay.
Bayou City Funk and uh, Swimwear Department is another one. They're on YouTube's. Look up Swimwear Department. They're a fun band to listen to live because they do this whole like audience interaction thing, uh, and they're a hoot and a half.
I miss that.
But yeah, I know that's the type of stuff that I miss. Seeing it and being a part of it and then being able to like step back from it and like there's activity going on over there and I can come over here and smoke my cigar and drink my whiskey and then set down my stogie and set down my drink and go over there and play with the kids and then come back and relax and get my own time and then go back and play with. That's what I miss a lot. I miss going out and doing stuff and going places and doing stuff. Um, and the coping and being sane here in the house doing movies and I mean geez for I mean almost 60 days we didn't leave the house. All four of us were in here in the house, and I know there's people who haven't left their house in months. Hell, my sister was
Yeah.
confined to her own room for an entire month because she lives in an assisted living facility, and you know those people were under like super duper strict restrictions. um,
Oh
So what are you
wow.
doing to keep yourself sane when you can't go do things and see people and go places? What movies are you watching? What
Um.
bands are you listening to? What
Oh
cross
my
stitch have
goodness.
you done? Show us your cross stitch.
Okay. So I haven't quite. Well, Yeah, I know I've tried cross stitch, but that's not what's been keeping me sane. So what's been keeping me sane, I
I
guess,
I
is
painted a painting for God's sakes. I did this during a show live on camera and for an hour. I painted this thing. It's an
that's
Amarillo. It's
beautiful.
an
Good
Amarillo
job.
sunrise. I did this and made a cocktail to go with it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I guess this is kind of what's been keeping me sane is
Did this one too.
like I've been. Ah, I love it. You also love the art. That makes me
I do.
happy.
I love artistic things and I love artistic people. So what have you done? Show me.
So since I've been really fortunate and thrift shops are open here and I do feel comfortable
Oh, that's
going
cool.
out to thrift shops. I know I'm really lucky, and I'm taking advantage of it and I'm repurposing some of the stuff I'm finding. And what's been keeping me sane is I'm somebody who really loves to be immersed in something very tactile.
Hmm.
I love messy things, and so I love finger painting, body painting, and what I've been doing are body stamps.
Oh,
So
cool.
essentially,
Is
I
that a
cover
butt?
different air. It is my butt. It is my butt. And it's on Marilyn Monroe's face. Um, and I've just been repurposing things with some stamps of my body. So that's what's been keeping me sane during quarantine. And I've been really fortunate and had some people who've been following me for a little while purchase these items. And that's been insanely helpful because I know, just like many other performers, it's the financial struggle trying to figure out what you're going to
Oh,
do when you're
yeah.
not doing your regular stuff. So it's been really interesting doing that weird side of the arts because I'm definitely not somebody who's very good with painting, who's very good with drawing,
Hmm.
but I'm learning to have patience. And if I can't have patience, I can sit on it.
I think that has been one of the best lessons that we have all learned from the quarantine and the pandemic and the freaking apocalypse is we have to have patience and do the things that we need to do in order to get back to normal stuff. Uh, and drawing and just whatever it is, just that thing you thought you shouldn't ever do or never got around to trying to do it. Well, guess what? You have time to do it now. Write your book and make your painting and rearrange the bathroom furniture or whatever. I don't know what people do. I don't know what normal people do anymore. I haven't been normal in so long. Uh,
Oh, I
um,
know. I
but
feel that. I listened to a really good pod.
was the Maryland stamp a painting you did on a live stream, or was that just something you did on your own and you put it up on
That's
video?
something I did live on my Patreon.
Mhm.
And I sell those on my Patreon, and I also put up all the photos from that on my Patreon. So it's kind of like a very special sneak preview for people who are
Very cool.
interested, because I know not everybody's into that.
Yeah. So Instagram, Twitters too, or no Twitters?
I'm definitely not into the Twitter as nearly as
Mhm.
much as a lot of other people. I'm on Instagram. I can be found on the Forbidden OnlyFans.
Of course,
I,
OnlyFans. Patreon
just
too.
like a lot of people.
Oh, right.
Patreon. You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on Instagram. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about all of them.
Okay. So here's a thing that I'm wondering: like when things get back to normal, March, April, whatever, and people start going back to their offices. Uh, and they discovered that Rachel, the front desk receptionist, had her OnlyFans page, and they kind of stumbled across Rachel's OnlyFans page. How do they get back to like the normal office environment with Rachel, the OnlyFans Rachel, who's the front desk receptionist? I'm wondering how
I
that
think
dynamic's going to work in April or May when things start to get back to normal. How do you think that's
I
going to
think
work? Because like
people
you
need to
said, everybody's
reevaluate
got
their
their
comfort
OnlyFans right
levels.
now. Yeah.
People need to reevaluate your comfort levels. Like if you're coming across somebody's OnlyFans, you have to see a link, and you have to search.
Right.
You're putting in the effort to look for that.
I mean,
Are
you
you
didn't.
questioning your decisions while you're clicking?
Yeah,
If you're concerned,
you didn't accidentally come across Rachel. You intentionally you were looking for Rachel's like she mentioned it uh, in her I don't know whatever Facebook post or on her Instagram or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna check that out because and I, I've got a lot of friends, like you said, like everybody's got one, especially burlesque performers. I can think of three off the top of my head, and see back in the '90s when I was in my 20s, uh, it was that weird conversation that other like I would hear dads talk about like, what if that was your daughter in the Playboy, and like that I could see that would be a weird dynamic of like one dad's daughter and the other dad was like ogling his friend's daughter, like, and they're talking over the barbecue pit, like your daughter had a really good photo shoot in the Playboy, or she got good tits. Like that's not backyard barbecue type of conversation that two dads should be having with each other back in the '90s. But now it's 2020, and that might be, Rachel's at the office and she's like, "Hey, have you checked out my OnlyFans?
again,
You want to see me sit on some cake?"
but it's relearning those comfort levels. Like if you're looking at your friend's daughter's OnlyFans, or noticing that she has it, then I guess like if you're gonna bring it up, figure out a way to bring it up that's comfortable. If not, don't bring it up. Like you got to be prepared.
Yeah, and I guess if you know your I guess even your son has the OnlyFans, then yeah, if you know that, then I guess you're comfortable with it with your kids doing it. But I think it's going to be an interesting office environment in April. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I can see that. As somebody who's worked in an office previously, I can
Well,
only
yeah,
imagine the things my coworkers would be saying right now.
because I mean, I'm sure there were occasions when you handed flyers to your coworkers, like, "Yeah, I've got a show on Wednesday. Come check me out."
Oh, there's definitely times I told people about things. I don't know if it always went over great, but like I said, learning experiences, learning the comfort level. Not everyone's comfortable
Yeah,
with everything. I respect that.
yeah, true. Like I can't stay late and work on that report tonight. I've got to go to the wiggle room.
Yeah, I've definitely said before, I'm sorry, I have to go take my clothes off tonight. I can't stay late.
That is the best line to tell your boss. I
You got to
can't
be
stay late. I
honest.
got to go take my clothes off. Got to go. Bye. And yeah, you got to be honest. That's
People
the
need
that's the
me.
best. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking of my last boss who made great efforts to act like a proper, upstanding gentleman. He was such a dirtbag.
You know what? Everyone's got respect for that deep down.
They do, and
Hmm.
it's the willingness to be honest with it and be all like, yeah, go do it, own it. The positive, the body positive, to just the being okay with yourself and going out and doing it, and I I I wonder. You see, the friends that I've got, they're burlesque performers. They do what they do, and we're friends on a different level. Like I've gone and seen their shows, and they're great shows. They're wonderful performers. They're great artists, beautiful art, wonderful what they do. And I know people who know them only as the burlesque performers. But I also know people who know them as good friends, and they're like just normal people who have this really unusual job. And the different dynamic between those two different sets of people is just fascinating to me, uh, because I'm kind of in between them because I know this person who has this weird, amazing, unique job, and I also know the other person who's like this, because I don't know, I didn't go to high school with them. I haven't known them forever, so I know this other aspect of them who's just like the public person that you know you meet only at a distance, uh, and seeing the two different groups of people interact with this same person is just fascinating to me, and I love it. It's really cool. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sure there was a point somewhere embedded in that before I got into the word vomit coming out of my face.
It's okay. It makes sense. No, it is a really cool thing to observe when you go to shows, and like it's a cool thing to experience too, especially when people start addressing you only as your stage name and your what you're really striving for, your craft, and they start
Hmm.
noticing that. It feels really good. But then you have people coming to support you who did maybe they babysat you
Oh
back
my
in the
God,
day,
yes.
or like there's lots of different things, and like I'm gonna go support Jill dancing, and then you get introduced on stage as little Kitty, or whatever your stage name may be, and meet Jill.
Hmm. Have you known people where I had no idea that this conversation was going to go this direction tonight? Uh, have you met people or have you known people who you knew in your before life and then they saw you perform and then like it just totally drastically altered the relationship and they could never see you as that person that they knew in whatever as their student or as their classmate or whatever. They see you perform and then they're like all of a sudden just like, I don't even know who you are anymore. Did it has it ever broken the relationship?
It's definitely happened because traditionally in my, I guess, my muggle life, I'm very, um, I know, it's fun terminology. In my everyday life, I'm very shy. I'm really quiet, kept to myself, extremely awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Would be cast as that awkward person in the movie kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But when I get on stage and when I get in character, I know I personally very much so feel exactly in a different human being altogether. I'm personally much more out there. I don't move the same way I would move normally. I definitely don't seem shy about my body or anything. And I find people are a little bit shocked by that who didn't expect to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Has it broken a relationship? I don't know if it's broken, but it's definitely changed things between some people. It's made something stronger. And I've also learned, I guess, with some relationships that some people just have different comfort levels, and not everyone is comfortable having that in their life. And you have to kind of respect that if you're going to take on different things in your life. You have to kind of go with the flow of it and have respect for what you do, but also respect for the people around you. And if they don't choose to support that, that's okay.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. See,
Yeah.
what I'm thinking, I think what I was thinking was kind of along the lines of you've seen Pretty Woman. I assume you've seen Pretty Woman.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry. The head
I
shaking. I
mean,
know. I got to stop that.
you're not that
Yeah,
young. I mean, you're young, but
I
you're not
have. I
so
really like
young
it,
that you
actually.
haven't seen Pretty Woman. But no, when Jason Alexander's character discovers the truth behind Julia Roberts' character, and then all of a sudden the relationship is completely changed. Like she's no longer the person and it just like fundamentally alters. Uh, I mean, I could see something like this isn't just my uh, whatever my math teacher anymore. This is my math teacher who's also a burlesque artist, and now it just like ruins everything between. Because by the way, context, I do know a math teacher who is also a burlesque artist. She's a high school math teacher, and she keeps those two lives very separate for obvious reasons. Because she doesn't want high school math or her high school kids knowing she's a burlesque artist for obvious reasons. But she's not going to be a burlesque artist for much longer, probably, or rather a math teacher for much longer, probably only about 2 years, because she's transitioning into full time. Yeah, not because she's going to get caught and it's going to catch up to her and the school board's going to be like, oh, but I mean that could totally happen. We're in Texas. No lie. What kind of?
Hopefully it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. I mean, hopefully she'll have, but that's, I mean, that's the kind of dynamic though. It's like this double life that some of these performers lead, because if the people they know in this context over here find out that she's this person over here in this context, it just shatters everything, and now you can't be a, yeah, you can't be a, I mean, I was gonna say you can't be a librarian and also be a burlesque dancer, but like a burlesque artist and a librarian would be a perfect mix of the two.
Oh my goodness, that would make for such a interesting amount of costume.
I mean, that's the perfect marriage of two forbidden like occupations coming together on stage. Um, and every once in a while you hear those stories like so and so's whatever leaked pictures got out, and then now she lost her job as whatever, and it only ever happens to women, and that is a double standard that is we can talk about that forever. You know all about double standards. I don't need to explain those to you.
No, yeah, no, it's true. It's true, but I think knowing your boundaries really helps too. Like if you're going to start performing and if you're going to start doing anything a little more risque and not the norm, you very much so have to check out, the policies that are around you, because some places are super supportive. Some places you'll work and your boss will be like, yeah, I want to come see you at the club tonight. I want to come see you do your routine, do your thing. And like you said, other places you'll work and you very much have to keep it separate. And I have experienced places where I've kept it separate just because I felt more comfortable. Mm-hmm. But I think that came back to my own comfort level too. Sometimes it is nice to keep everything separate, and it helps you with your persona. Some people find that very much so, because sometimes it is when you first start out, it's a little frightening when you look out in the audience and you see someone from work there and you didn't expect to see them there.
Right.
Sometimes it's you then at work on Monday morning. That's like a little bit strange, not them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can see that too. And and I think of the more risque type, not even more risque, just more pornographic. That's the word for it. If you come across somebody's, if somebody's out clicking through the whatever porn tubes that are out there, and they find, oh my God, that's so and so from like the how do you even bring that? Do you bring? They can't. It can't be brought up to them because you then bust yourself because you're out like sneaking around to their porn sites or whatever. Unless, especially if it's not like public and they're not like publicly, they're not a professional actress or whatever, and you can't be like, hey, Sarah, I saw your. Was that you in like Double Anal Sluts #4? Because.
But you know what?
You can't bring that up at the coffee
shit.
pots. You can't just oh, by the way, saw your porn.
But I think that's the wonderful thing about being involved in the more like explicit side of performance, or even all these platforms like OnlyFans, is that you realize everybody's checking it out, whether it be yours or somebody else's. Everybody is looking at something. Like somebody's uncle is probably checking out your OnlyFans right now.
Oh, yeah. Not
you know
mine.
What? Like, Well,
I hope.
I haven't looked to see if you got an OnlyFans hidden away there, but
Mine's
again,
all
I'd have to
feet.
look for it.
Mine's all feet pics and
Whatever
whiskey.
you're into,
Feet pics
I
and shot
respect it.
glasses. That's everything. That's it.
Somebody's into everything. You know what? Like, I sit on cakes. I understand. There's somebody for
You
everything.
do. You sit on cakes. I find that there's a story. I have a story associated with that, but if we get to it.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean that, and does that ever give you pause? Like you're doing your performance, you're doing your thing, you're Wendy Bonbon, you're out there, you're on stage, you're in front of your camera, you're doing whatever you're doing. Does it ever creep into your mind even a little bit that your uncle might be out there? Your uncle might be out there. Not my uncle. My uncles, you don't know my uncles. Your uncle might be out there looking at you going, oh yeah. Ever? Ever even give you pause? Did I just break your career?
I don't think you broke my career. You know what? I understand that there's going to be something of in a nature happening at any venue in someone's mind that you typically don't want to know. But you very much so have to focus on your own performance.
Mhm.
And that's something I've learned, especially while doing things that are very things that people are seeing sometimes for the very first times, like cake sitting or wet and messy performances and such. People are learning that they're like into things for the first time, and sometimes they're thinking some really like gnarly, all dirty thoughts, and like you don't want to know them, but you have to respect that. It's just a matter of, you know, like doing your performance and keeping in that zone, and it's a special thing that you get to share with people.
Mhm.
And I guess it's riding that thought more so than the fact that there might be a creepy uncle over in
Yeah.
the corner, maybe even your own creepy uncle.
Or does it help?
Yeah.
Does it help with the, like, this is my stage performance, my stage persona versus the actual you who goes to Blimpie or Subway? I don't know what y'all have in Canada. I assume you'll have Subways in Canada. Goes to Subway, gets your sandwiches, eats your ramen noodles, does all the normal stuff. This is you, the normal everyday you. But then over here, when the lights are turned on, you're another person, and it's not your uncle watching you; it's her uncle watching you, which is different. Is that kind of that dynamic, or am I just wandering down this path for no reason?
No, I feel like you are like right hitting the nail right on the head with that,
Mhm.
because it is very much so when you get into your character, a lot of times you can separate that. Again, getting really into your performance and just really getting into what you're doing. Like if you were doing a number where you are embodying a cat, you don't give a shit about the guy in the audience because you're a cat right now
That makes
and
sense.
you're being a sexy cat.
That
If
makes
that's
sense.
what you're doing, or like very much so getting, if you're doing clown less, getting very much so into your character and you're not really as concerned. Again, you're there for your performance. And
Mhm.
honestly, lights are some bright sometimes. You don't see people.
Right, you don't see the audience. You can't see the audience because the lights are on the stage. And I swear to God, I would be asking these same questions to my burlesque family that's over there performing at the Texas Renaissance Festival right now. But they're all performing at the Texas Renaissance Festival, and I can't talk to them. I miss those guys.
That sounds like fun.
I know. I mean, in theory, going to the Texas Renaissance Festival sounds like a tremendous amount of fun. But this year, it doesn't sound like a tremendous amount of fun to me. It sounds like a terrifying experience full of crowds of people that I have no idea what doorknobs they've been
Good
licking.
point. Good. Ooh, yes, good point.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like fun. I miss the Texas
In
Renaissance Festival.
theory.
I haven't been in like 3 years, but this year I can't go, and I'm like, God, I really wish I could go. I don't know if I would, but I really wish I could. And I mean, I could right now because it's open, but I don't want to because you know they're all filthy humans
Fair.
that pick up chips off the
That's fair.
ground and eat them and lick doorknobs and whatever else they do. I don't know what people do anymore. I don't talk to them. Um,
Or chips.
yeah. Do you have a pet?
I have a cat and I also have a ball python.
A ball python. See, I would have guessed the cat. I was not certain about the snake. Maybe I would have guessed maybe snake lizard, but I wasn't certain about snake lizard. Ball python. How long is he?
He is just over 3 feet.
Okay, so just a little baby.
He's not a big one. Definitely
Yeah.
not a big one. They don't grow super big, right?
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
And this is,
But I
and
love them.
and so 3 feet. Yeah, my hands are outside the frame. 3 feet would be, I guess, something like that. Uh, the ball pythons, they're the indoor pythons. They're not the ones that live down in Florida that eat motorhomes. They're just regular python-sized pythons.
More of the size of a snake you'd find in your toilet or like in your backyard, I'm assuming.
I don't know
I
what
have
you've
never
got.
found a snake outside in Newfoundland. I don't think we have them. I think maybe if we do, we have like very little ones.
Yeah, yeah. We in my yard, I know for a fact in my yard we've got little bitty snakes about yay big. I've seen them. They along the side of the house. Uh, I I've only told my wife about them in passing. She hasn't seen them. Um, but of course, here in Texas, we have all the damn snakes here in Texas, from rattlers to copperheads to sidewinders, and just
That
bunch
sounds
of
lovely and terrifying.
yeah, bunch of dumb snakes. I mean, they stay where they need to be. We have an understanding with our water moccasins. Every once in a while, they come up on land, but they have their place to be. Hell, I've seen leeches uh, after floods. Just yeah, all the animals.
Oh
We're
my
not as bad
goodness.
as Australia that has everything that's trying to kill us. Our wildlife stays where it's supposed to be. Um, yeah, so but one thing I can say that what Canada or Australia has that we don't have is they've got really cool kangaroos. Uh, and
Fact.
near as I can tell, in Texas, it's not against the law to box a kangaroo. So, uh,
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right.
that doesn't make it a smart thing to do or an intelligent thing to do. But I'm just saying there might be a guy who makes whiskey who's thinking about boxing a kangaroo for like a 100th episode extravaganza type of thing. Uh,
Oh my God, dark times over there.
I mean,
Dark times.
whatever. The kangaroos they can hold their own. You've seen those guys; they're ripped. They're boxing a kangaroo. It
Talk
sounds like
about your friends.
it sounds like a fun thing to do. Um,
Oh my goodness.
I take that back. It doesn't sound like a fun thing to do. It sounds like a ridiculously stupid thing to do, but it sounds like it would be good TV. Um,
Entertainment.
what kind of cat do you have? Is it just a
I
a
I just
regular
have
domestic short hair?
yep, regular domestic short hair.
You don't
His
have one of
name's
the
Marley.
hairless or Pyrenees or whatever weird exotic ones.
Jeez,
Just a
bye.
regular
It's
old
so
cat.
cold up here. You think I can get one of those and take care of it? I have to knit a little sweater or something.
I know.
Can't
If
be
you
at
got a
that.
hairless cat, you have to give it a sweater.
No, I don't got time for that. I have a hard time dressing myself. That's why I do so many things where I get naked. Like I can't go knitting a sweater for a cat.
So our speaking of things when you get naked, so our partners over on the Twitch that host our show on the Cabin Fever live stream, that was this network that these folks who were performers, burlesque performers, comedians, bands, this group of people got together when they lost all their stages back in March and started this Twitch channel called the Cabin Fever live stream. Um, Kicked it off with like a 72-hour marathon uh, uh, performance of just variety of all kinds of crazy crap. 72 solid hours nonstop
Oh
live
my goodness.
stream in order to get partner status so that they could monetize the channel and do all the stuff on Twitch, right?
Brilliant
So
but terrifying.
it is. It's insane. They pulled it off. They got their partner status. They got all the stuff. It's fantastic. They currently carry a bunch of shows. Devil's Hour, Jeff with a G, does Devil's Hour on Wednesday nights, which is a variety show, sideshow variety show. They have a 5 o'clock shadow that is basically an hour's worth of music, singer songwriter stuff from Ryan Adam Wells. It's a great show, great channel. Go follow it; it's awesome. Um, they got suspended for 72 hours because they did a Cake Apocalypse episode. Tifa Tiddlywinks and Emma Dilemma did a Cake Apocalypse episode show on a Friday night where they smashed cakes that apparently ran afoul of the community standards, and they got suspended.
Why take all the good from the world?
and
Oh
and
my goodness.
and the show is a legendary status show because it happened. People saw it. There's a recording of it, but nobody has it. Like you can't get it off of Twitch because the actual episode, the archived episode, was taken down and scrubbed out. So there's recordings of it. And when I went back to I saw it, the show started on Friday, and I had other stuff to do. I'm like, I'll be back. I'll watch this tomorrow. When I came back tomorrow on Saturday, they'd already been suspended. The show had been taken down. The recording had been removed from the channel,
Oh
and you couldn't
no.
access it. And I was so disappointed because I wanted to see I wanted to see what was so illegal about the cake apocalypse. Um, and it yeah. So somewhere somewhere there's a recording of this, and hey, if we get 1,500 subscribers, maybe I'll get that recording. Um,
But people are so strict on food
I
performances
can't.
because the only thing
I
I've
want to
ever
get the
had
recording.
taken down, the only thing I've ever had taken down was somebody who did also a food play performance,
No
and
kidding.
it blows people's minds too much. But yeah, I can definitely, that breaks my heart for
And
your friends. I really want to see it now that I know it
I
exists.
know. I want to see this thing too. And what smashing the cake, whatever, doing all the stuff with the cake. They were wearing bikinis. I mean, how bad could it possibly have been? No, I take
You
that back.
see,
I know how bad it could have possibly been. But I think they called their show the Hot Mess Happy Hour, and it was Friday nights, and it was like 3 or 4 hours long. I think I was on a few of those shows, but
oh my God, I think I saw one photo when I was scrolling through of a preview of something earlier that
what?
said hot mess. So maybe I'll have to go back and have
Well,
another
no.
look.
If it was on my feed, the hot mess would have been a cocktail that we did.
Okay. You
Okay,
see, I got obviously I have to revisit the previous episodes because you have so many good episodes.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. We're at what, 69? Nice. It's like fucking 13. But I did a hot mess cocktail with Noor. Noor, the winner of a semifinalist in the TV show called Holy Moly. He was a semifinalist, and that was the cocktail that I did on his show. Because back in the day, I used to do, when I did the show, it was the quarantine cocktail happy hour. The cocktail was part of the show where I'd start the show and I'd say, "This is the cocktail that we have for the night," and I'd mix the cocktail on the show. Here it is, and this is what I'm drinking, and this is where I came up with the drink. And it was like the first 15 minutes of the show, but I've kind of gotten away from that because I've gotten more interesting and fascinating guests, and the cocktail was getting in the way of the guests. So now I focus on y'all because y'all are even better. And I've moved the cocktails off to their own little cocktail corner
Well, thank you.
where I do this show, and here's the cocktail and the story behind the cocktail. And just for a reference, my next cocktail is the original Old Humble Quarantini, which is a cocktail that I picked up when I was running spices from India and Southeast Asia back in the early 1800s. So it's an old cocktail that I've known for a long time. It's really delicious.
Nice.
And in
Cool.
fact, that episode, now that I think about it, that episode came out before this one. Because we're all
It's
time
okay. I'll
traveling.
have something to look.
We're all time traveling spacemen at this
Awesome.
point, and I have no sense of continuity.
That's it. We're
Yeah.
here. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I think the one after that is going to be a peanut butter cup old-fashioned. Because I'm making a peanut butter and chocolate
Oh.
simple syrup to go in an old-fashioned. And yes, it's
That sounds lovely.
rumor is it's delicious. I haven't actually tried it yet. I've tried the simple syrup, and it tastes like peanut butter chocolate. So there you go. That'll be my Halloween episode for the, or just after Halloween episode for the cocktail corner. And so yeah, we're
I
doing,
love it.
We're doing stuff. We're doing stuff. Tell us what we have coming up for you, because we are unfortunately the part of the show that I hate the most. We're at the end, and I hate this
That's
part of the
okay.
show.
I've actually, you just
because-
inspired me. So you know what? I will tell you about what I have coming up, and I'm
Please.
gonna let you know what I will be involving with it, because you just inspired me heavily with peanut butter.
Oh,
So
cool.
on Tuesday nights on my Patreon, I host a live show,
Mhm.
and that's varying times, and I always post about it. And that's where you can catch me on Tuesday nights performing consistently, and on Thursday nights it's on OnlyFans.
Mhm.
So I guess this one's premiering on the 17th of November, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This
Okay.
episode right
Yes,
now.
I think this episode is the 17th today, as
So
it were.
the following Tuesday, I guess my video will have to be some peanut butter play to go
Cool.
with the amazing cocktail that I will learn about on your show.
Awesome. That's fascinating. That's fantastic. An upcoming show after that, an upcoming cocktail after that would be one that was recommended from my viewers. It's Pecan Pie Old-Fashioned. And that's a rather involved simple syrup, and I haven't made that one yet. But
So many ideas.
yeah, that's cool that you can do peanut butter play on the Patreon. That sounds awesome. Guys, gals,
No one to
get
shut
in
me
on the
down.
Patreon. Yeah, get in on it. You're gonna send me all those links. They'll be down in the description of the show, so that you folks can find her stuff, on the webs, and we'll make sure we have it all. What else? What else you want to tell people about? I see. This is the end of the show, and I don't want to end the show because it's such a fantastic conversation. You're such a wonderful person, but you have a life and you have things to go to, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer.
No, that's totally fair. I guess the last thing I'll tell you about is you can catch me on Sunday nights on Instagram on my IGTV with the Cosmic Show happening on Sunday nights at 9:30 Eastern time, and that is running for an hour, and that's where you can catch me weekly.
And it really is a fantastic show because you have you open it with the book and you have your special guests, and it is, oh my god, it really is fun. It's a fantastic show to watch. And even participate in, because you have you interact with the folks in chat too.
Yeah, we have a great community. Honestly, it's insane how blessed I am to have such a community checking in each week to see the show. And being a part of that is always interesting because the comments are hilarious and so different every episode. So yeah, check it out.
Peanut butter play on Patreon. Yeah, you see, you're gonna make me get a membership to the Patreon, at least to the Patreon, just so I can see that, because that sounds fun.
I'll have to.
All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Find us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram. More importantly, find us at Specs all across the state of Texas, because whiskey's great in a glass. Well, it's definitely great in a glass, because if you don't pour it in a glass, it pours all over your feet. On the rocks, neat, in a cocktail, but it's always better with friends and great stories. And these are some of the best stories that we've had in a long time. God, it's so fantastic to have you on the show. Thank you so much. When you're in Texas, look us up.
I will. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we're going to cut to our closing screen. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right.